Hello and welcome to Connotation Points Video Snark. I'm making my way through Born at Midnight by CC Hunter. If you haven't seen the other videos, you might want to do that before jumping into this one, or else you might be confused. Links will be posted below. Chapter 4. Kelly stares at the text and waits for the follow-up, ha ha ha, just kidding message. But when it doesn't come, she starts to think that things like this don't happen to people like them. Until Kylie remembers her random rant about sex and Sarah from the second chapter. All it takes is one faulty condom. Or the pamphlets Mom had brought home and unceremoniously left on Kylie's pillow like a bedtime snack. Talk about a mood killer. She'd arrived home from one of the hottest dates she'd had with Trey, waiting to enjoy the high from his hot kisses and bold caresses, only to find the statistics of unwanted pregnancies and equally unwanted sexually transmitted diseases waiting for her. Can't possibly imagine why Kylie's mom would have left those there. I mean, we all know that Kylie is still a virgin, but come on. The fact that Kylie had been talking about how pressured she felt into having sex is proof that her mom is right. Toad Girl asks if Kylie got bad news. Kylie struggles between wanting to keep Sarah's personal business from a complete stranger from being too nice, but also kind of wanting to tell the girl to mind her own beeswax. The girl introduces herself as Miranda and says that this is her second year attending the camp. She goes on to say that she doesn't know why they're bothering to send her a second time because the first didn't exactly help. Miranda says that the camp isn't too bad, if you don't mind blood. Kylie thinks that she's joking, but Miranda remains perfectly serious without cracking a smile or anything. And then this happens. A loud clearing of his throat echoed in the bus. Kylie looked up to the front to where the bus driver stared into the big mirror. Oddly, Kylie felt as if she stared right at Miranda and her. Stop that, Miranda hissed in a low voice and clapped her hands over her ears. I didn't invite you in. As my friend and I have taken to sing about bad books, this'll be important later. Kylie has no idea what's going on. She thought that things couldn't possibly get weirder, but then I'm pretty sure that this is Alice first tumbling down the rabbit hole. Sarah texts back while Kylie was occupied with Miranda, and I'm not even going to read this out loud because I feel as though speaking it ruins it. Instead, I'm just going to leave it up on the screen for a while and just let you try to figure it out. For those of you who didn't spend time in the early 2000s, that is how we used to communicate via text. Ugh, when did this book even come out? This is already painfully dated. Goodreads says 2011, and I feel like text talk was already getting outdated even then. Talk about being desperate to reach your target audience. But in 2 months, Sarah would have the belly the size of a basketball. This isn't The Sims. If Sarah is just now realizing that she's pregnant, it's clearly sometime in the first trimester, which probably means that maybe the second month at the most? If she actually is pregnant and this isn't just randomly freaking out over being late one day. And also, nobody delivers a healthy baby after only, let's just say, 4 months of pregnancy, and nobody would be that big either. Kylie then thinks of how embarrassed Sarah would be if she had to drop out of high school. Not about any actual consequences of her actions, just how embarrassing that this would be. And Kylie is also grateful that she never went that far. They stop for a bathroom break. Since Kylie doesn't know how much longer that this bus ride is going to take, she leaves to relieve herself. Pale Girl, who is not to be confused with Goth Girl, puts a hand on Kylie's arm and remarks over how warm that Kylie is. Pale Girl herself is ice cold. After using the bathroom, Kylie grabs some gum and gets into line. The boy from the back of the bus steps behind her and, love interest alert, the guy is described in agonizing detail. Ugh. Kylie and the guy do this weird non-verbal greeting, and then he points out that Miranda and Pale Girl are watching them. He says that they're just curious about her and want for her to open up more, which confuses Kylie because she's now spoken with everybody at least once now. Kylie then really blurts out if he has an anxious twitch. You don't know, do you? The boy asked. His eyes widened. His gold flecks seemed to sparkle. Know what? This is probably going to be a recurring theme of this'll be important later. But the guy doesn't answer. Kylie then thinks about how awful that her life has been lately. She gets back on the bus and struggles to hold back tears. but eventually decides that she doesn't care if any of these people like her. Chapter 5. They finally arrive at the camp. She shifted her gaze around, almost surprised the place didn't have a high fence and a locked gate. They were, after all, considered to be troubled teens. The surrounding area is not described, but my guess is that they're relying on isolation keeping the kids at the camp. The driver says that they're the last bus to arrive. Everybody else is waiting in the mess hall, and to leave their luggage on the bus as it will be taken to the dorms. Kylie freaks out because she doesn't have a tag on her bag. She has two options, which is to either break the rules or end up only wearing the same thing for the solid 2 months as all of her clothes are now gone. She obviously goes with the first option and tries to take the bag with her. Although I'm confused as to why she doesn't have a luggage tag. They sell them at a dollar store for literally $1. And if dear old Mumsy couldn't be bothered to spring for that, then there's always the old standby of a piece of tape with their name on it. But the other kids tell her that it'll be okay and to just leave her bag. Kylie doesn't believe Miranda, but she believes the other guy. He then randomly gives her some money and says that it's her change from the store at the end of chapter 4. Why he waited all this time to give it to her is beyond me. He also finally bothers to introduce himself as Derek. And then the blonde boy jumps out in front of Kylie, which makes her fall back into Derek, and she feels things, because of course she does. They get off the bus and go into the mess hall, as the bus driver had told them to. As they're walking up, Kylie hears a strange noise that she likens to a lion roar, but none of the other kids from the bus seem to give any indication that they even heard it. They go inside, and it's completely and utterly silent, even though it's full of other kids. Kylie describes the rest of the camp kids along the same lines as she initially did with the kids on the bus, looking an awful lot like delinquents who probably need to be at a disciplinary youth camp. And they make Kylie super uneasy, although I can't really say that I disagree with her on that front. All of the kids from the bus sit at a table together, and for lack of anywhere better to go, Kylie follows them and sits with them. As they sit, Kylie realizes that it feels like everybody else is watching them. She also notices that they're all doing a thing with their eyebrows. Derek was doing it at the rest stop in the 4th chapter, but she kind of brushed it off then. But now it's a little too weird to be ignored. Who I'm guessing is the camp counselors show up, but as Kylie looks around to see the lady, she sees another guy that she seems to know. But enough of that! Get back to the counselors! One of them looks like your typical camp counselor with the jeans and a camp t-shirt. The other looks like Hot Topic is her store of choice. My name is Holiday Brandon, and this is Sky Peacemaker. I'm done. Goodbye. Two big dudes wearing suits come in, although their arrival seems unwelcome by... I'm sorry, I cannot with those names. Their arrival is unwelcome by Holiday and Sky. But the counselors ignore the two bodyguard types and instruct those who have been to the camp to please go outside. They go on and talk about how camp rules will be posted in the rooms and that there's no switching room assignments. Then some random girl screams out, "Who is she?" while pointing at Kylie, and everybody turns to look at Kylie. And I get that this is a young adult book featuring awkward teenagers doing awkward teenage things, and nobody likes to be called out like that, but the counselors literally just finished explaining that there were supposed to be newbies at the camp and not just people who'd been there before, so I'm not even quite sure what's even up with this. Chapter 6. Derek quietly reassures Kylie while one of the two counselors say that introductions will happen later, although none of this really helps set Kylie at ease. She thinks about running, but remembers that she saw in a nature documentary that running indicates that you're dinner. Sarah texts again, although Kylie doesn't immediately read it. She thought that her biggest problem this summer was being shipped off to the camp, and that Sarah had it way worse, but now Kylie is starting to rethink her opinion about that. Kylie also wonders why it was that she was signaled out. Oh, I'm sure that we're going to learn all about that soon enough. The counselors start ordering people to get a move on for the newbies to hang out in the mess hall. As the other kids start to move around, Kylie looks at the random guy that she mentioned having known at the end of the 5th chapter. She recalls his name as Lucas Parker and always felt like he was a serial killer in the making. She wonders if it actually is Lucas or just some guy who looks like Lucas. Derek remains inside with Kylie along with a couple of others from the bus, who apparently aren't forking important enough to get names. Holiday asks for the kids to separate themselves into two groups, those who know why they're there at the camp and those who don't. Kylie feels like she doesn't know but doesn't want to continue to be signaled out, so she follows Derek over to one side of the room. Sky orders the few who are in the "I don't know why I'm here" part of the room outside so that she can talk to them, but then Holiday signals Kylie out yet again and asks that she follow her outside. Kylie blurts out about the party she was at and then about her parents' divorce, but this doesn't amuse Holiday and Kylie follows her outside anyway. They walk past the group of camp returnees who all turn and continue to stare at Kylie. Lucas is talking with the rude girl who screamed out about Kylie earlier. But enough about that. Kylie can't stop admiring how good Lucas looks in his t-shirt. Clearly the second part of the obligatory love triangle. Ugh. Lucas then leans in and asks if Kylie has any drugs. She regrets having blurted out about the drugs at the party, even though Lucas was not inside when she said that. Holiday takes Kylie plus four other kids who claim not to know why they were there into the camp office. She then proceeds to give them a talk about how different that they are, and surely they've noticed their entire lives how special that you are. But Holiday goes on beyond the simple meaning of, like, does well in school to a more supernatural kind of special. Kylie finally thinks that this is a fat load of garbage when one of the kids mentioned vampires and how it explains so much about himself. Holiday confirms that the boy is a vampire who was turned last week, another girl is a werewolf, and a second girl is a fairy. Although Kylie listens to the others and she's like, maybe it does explain why I'm seemingly the only person who sees Soldier Dude. But then she says out loud that all of this is stupid. Holiday almost sarcastically asks if Kylie wants proof. Uh, yes, I want freaking proof, you. Thanks for listening to my book Snark on YouTube. If you enjoy my videos, please hit that subscribe button. I post a new Snark video every Monday. Don't forget to check out my other Snark videos, Stalking Jack the Ripper and The Plan. If you've already seen those, then you can head over to Tumblr for my main book Snarks. And if all of that is somehow still not enough for you, then you can become my Patreon supporter for just $1 a month and read a bunch of bonus Snarks that aren't up anywhere else. See you next week, guys. What? What? Toad Girl asks if Kylie got bad news. Kylie struggles between wanting to keep Toad. Really?